So I've been to see it. It's taken me 2 days to collect my thoughts. And because what I didn't want to do is do a reactionary rant, either for or against it. But I think you all know where this one's going. Because Marvel now seem to be they seem to be the cinematic equivalent of a schizophrenic. And they've gone from quippy, happy, jokey, superhero-y, everything is light and fluffy, to Animal Farm mixed with Watership Down with an overlay of anti-vivisection politics. Let's talk about it after the scroll. Bonjour. Guys, they didn't know where to go with this one. They didn't know where to go. I suppose on one hand, is it a sign that they are listening? Because there was definitely, and by the way, this isn't going to be a review of the film. I'm just going to pluck elements from it. I'd rather talk around the film. If I was going to, this was a decent. I think I was surprised by Quantumania that I got from the beginning to the end. This one, I suppose, is on the same par. It's just in that dead middle. It's just in the category worst of the three. By a country mile, worst of the three if you was going to watch the trilogy. The trouble is that you can't watch them as a trilogy because the events of the first two films were intertwined with Endgame and the Infinity War, blah, 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 blah. This film, at nearly 2.5 hours, could have been either your light, quippy, everyone is stupid stuff that they'd done in the first two films, but someone thought, aha, let's bring a darker element into it. Let's go into Rocket's backstory with the High Evolutionary, and let's show what he went through, to what the High Evolutionary did to him to make him that. That's very, very cool, and it does directly link in to the High Evolutionary character in the comics. I'm going to start off with a positive point, to be fair. The High Evolutionary was a great villain. He was a mental villain in this. Got to say, at least he was a decent villain. It did tail off towards the end. And this is what I mean about a schizophrenic film. It did, because it tailed off in the end into the same old Marvel stupidity, where the guy, the High Evolutionary, suddenly got powers that we haven't seen him use before, and no one's alluded to the fact that he had these powers. And if he did have these powers, why didn't he use them before? There's no effective adult way of building a character in these films. We know this, and it's a shame because he would have been a different character. So we've got the Rocket backstory. That would have been the most decent film. That would have been a 90-minute film. But just give me that. Just give me that origin story and him having to escape and etc. etc. Because what that did was what that really dark story did, which I'm all for, by the way. I'm all for that. I was loving a bit of that. There were a couple of humorous bits, but yeah, I'm going to the character, the walrus character, and all that. Maybe just threw it off kilter a bit, but essentially that story of their escape, or failed escape. Oh yeah, give me some of that. Why didn't I make a TV series of that? And concentrate on the film with the dynamic between all the characters we've come to know and love. Because they didn't concentrate on one or the other. So you've got this dark story peppering the usual bants. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. They're not clever enough to make that work. There are clever filmmakers. There are clever TV filmmakers. TV filmmakers. TV series creators that can make you laugh all day long and then hit you with something dark. A classic example is Ricky Gervais. Or in his stand up and in his I forget the name of the series he did for Netflix now, something Life when it Afterlife. That was a classic example of making you laugh one minute and cry the next. What I would say is no one at Marvel, including James Gunn, I know he's gone to DC now, they're not clever enough to do that. This proves it. This proves it. Can you call it a valiant effort? Nah. No, you can't. You can't. It's a mess. Same old Marvel. The other classic example is The Office, where you are really sorry for the main character, but and it's cringy, but it's funny. You're laughing. Oh my god, did he just do that? Like, oh my god, this is so embarrassing. But it's twisting you. It's just twisting. Now, there was an element, I believe, there was an element of this in the Guardians of the Galaxy, especially there were certain scenes in the other, I might be mixing up films what they were in or their own films, but particularly where Mantis is picking up on Star-Lord's feelings for Gamora, and Drax is picking up her. And they're mocking it. Now that is cringy. That's that same kind of humour. But I thought it was very effective. I really enjoyed the first two films. Well, really enjoyed the first one, enjoyed the second one, and third one. Because the jokes are worn out now. And they're too long. A lot of them did fall flat as well. You're laughing at how flat they fall, rather than the jokey element of it. And when they are working, oh my god, they milk them for all they're worth. Like 3 minutes later, they're still like the scene where they're discussing the conversation. I'm sure you've seen the clip where Star-Lord's talking to not Gamora anymore, and then Mantis says, "Well, we can hear you. You pressed the wrong button." Oh my god, like that's funny. Do one more step. Oh, we can all hear you. Bring everyone in. Yet you should have pressed that button. They go on and on about the colours and the thing, and they keep thinking they're adding to the humour. But for me, no. Too long, too flat. And it's, like I say, trying to be, but, right, and the music. Remember the first one? I think that's one of the best intros to a film. I do love, I'm a bit of a geek. Well, I'm a lot of a geek, but one of my little things I love is when you get that intro scene to a film that you're thinking, oh wow, I'm right in this. One of my favourites of all time is Blade. There's another one with Ryan Gosling. Was it Space? What did they call it? Space. It's about Neil Armstrong, Spaceman, where he's in the like this jet fighter and it's all falling apart, or rocket, whatever it is he's in. But how and it was more the sound design than anything in that. Gladiator is another one. Batman's another one. Anyway, I'm not going to go on in intros to films, but the first Guardians film with that song, it was just on the tip of my tongue to start singing it then, but we all know the one. And he's got the Walkman cassette and he's playing. Right. So the music has been a theme in the last two films. The thing is, particularly in the first film, in the Walkman he had, was the link to his past. That was an effective tool to conjure up memories of his mum and his lost life, so to speak. That was the only thing he had from Earth. He didn't have a gallery of photos and stuff. That was his memory. That's it was almost what made him human. Right. Fast forward to the third film. All we now get are pop tracks or a rock track with a scene of film over it. And it's done now. It has been so overused now. It's done now. They have used it. They have done it to death now. Because in this film particularly, again, it's jarring because a song kicks in, like someone says a word. It's almost like a musical. Where, you know, in a musical where someone says the end of their line of dialogue starts as the next scene where everyone's ready to dance. But in a musical, you're ready for it. You're up for that. So, you know, it might be the last line of dialogue. Someone says, do you know what? I never believed a man could fly. And then he looks that way, and then you see everyone getting ready to do a Superman musical. I don't know where that come from, by the way. I do apologise. But yeah, but it's another music track that they've got Marvel with their libraries of ownership can just drop tracks in. They can just drop, they are member berries because they're just dropping in. I think there was a Queen song in it as well, and that wasn't one of the most jarring, to be fair, but none of them were particularly jarring. Just overused. Like, make it funny. Could have made. I don't know if they made it sad or not. I think I was after the first half of the film. I think I was lost anyway. I didn't have a clue what was going on, by the way. Didn't have a clue. The narrative direction of this film was so sloppy that I was literally watching a collection of scenes added to the scene before. This scene is stitched to the one you've just watched. Oh, okay. Oh, here's some other people now dressed up. This is linked to the scene you've just seen. Really? Okay. Does any of this link to? No? Oh, loosely. Oh, good. It just doesn't. It just didn't. The share of the character share of the film obviously rockets out of action, and it's a story to rescue. I think the story was to rescue, resuscitate him, whatever it was, and then everything went on from there. And it was that bit that I didn't know. I didn't have a clue what was going on. No one said, right, you've got to go over there. And then when you're over there, you've got to go here now. It was just like way, like I say, collection scenes. Character share was, I don't know, it was all over the place. I mean, but for me, Batista as Drax, the character, when it's well written and they can all be bothered. Well, not just Drax, all of them, and the Mantis. I think they overuse Mantis and Drax in this, and I think you can see it. I think that's one of the problems. Equal it out between them all, and I think it works. Well, no, we all know it works because the first two films and their appearances subsequently. In this, I think there was a balance. I mean, I was in the Gamora camp really because she spent most of the film slating them, calling them ridiculous. I was with her for most of this film because she was saying, "Oh yeah, you are Groot," kind of thing. Yeah, you're Groot, mate. And I've got to admit, I was with her. She was a bit of me in this film. She's saying, "Yeah, all right, keep telling me who you are." And then she's going to Peter Quill like, "Oh, shut." And why was fundamental question? I need an answer to this. So if any of you can leave an answer to this question in the comments, why was Peter Quill's hair so messy? His hair, I don't know why I was finding myself so distracted by his hairstyle. It's not me a bit of that. And also, on that, Gamora's hair looked really greasy. I'm going to have to research, I think, after I've filmed this. I'm going to have to research the hair department because normally, with Dismal Minus, they had about 8 hairstylists on She-Hulk TV show. So they must have had about 100 on this. But Gamora's hair looked all greasy. And Star-Lord's hair, he was all over the shop. It looked like he had just come from outer space and took his helmet off in every scene. You know, like when you take your motorbike helmet off. or you know, the atmosphere gets sucked into your helmet when you lift the visor. It just goes, messes your hair up, doesn't it? Perhaps I'm just jealous because they had hair. And anyway, that is a really, really irrelevant part. But when you're looking at one of the main characters' hairstyle and thinking, why is your hair so? That's the kind of where you're at with this film. Before I go, I'm going to leave it at that. Before I go, I did an Adam Warlock video because I knew what was going to go on. The most egregious offence for me in this film was the total abuse of the character of Adam Warlock. There isn't one element, this is the bit I don't get, there isn't one element of the character from the comic that they have lifted and put into the film, except for the colour of his skin, which is gold. There isn't any part of his character or his origin or why he exists in the Marvel Universe that they have used. If it just fit one small part, I wouldn't mind. He is a bumbling fool. He is a mummy's boy. He's an idiot in this, which in the comics, he wasn't. I wouldn't say he was an idiot, but he was naive because he was a child. He might have had and this is where some of the drama come from with good writers within the comics industry. That they've obviously thrown that out with half the jokes in this, but he is a joke in this. So I was thoroughly disgusted with Marvel for why use that character? Just invent a new character called Mummy's Boy and have him do all the stupid stuff with whatever her name is from something else they did. There was no need for him to be in it except to make one scene work at the beginning. But that could have been anyone. It didn't have to be Warlock. Oh, he's from the comics. Let's get some comic. This is how they think. Oh, he's from the comics. So if we call this character a name of a character from a comic, all the comic fans will really like it. Oh. And this is after 2 days of me calming down. So I'm glad I did this video now. I don't want to. It's too late now. I was going to say I don't want to put people off watching this film, but yeah, save your money and wait for it to come out on Dismal Minus. To be fair, that's my recommendation. If you're going to enjoy it. I don't want to stop anyone's enjoyment. I suppose if you've grown up on this shit, then you're going to lap this up. But I tell you what, when you're lapping it up, there are very, very few sweet corns for me. Very few. So on that note, again, as always, thank you everyone so much. If you are leaving me a little comment, I appreciate it so much when it makes me feel loved when you leave me a comment or a like. Not the ones where you say you don't love me. I mean, you have a lot. Anyway, but if it is something you disagree with, come on, as always, I love getting into it because none of this stuff, no one's life depends on it. So let's talk about why Adam Warlock should have been in it. Let's talk about the jokes were funny because it's just a matter of opinion. Did you enjoy the film? I didn't. But it doesn't mean that we have to be we can have a beer down the pub and still talk about it and say, no, I like this bit. No, I didn't. I hate that bit. No one's life's at stake. So please, come on, get into it. But I do appreciate everyone who's done that up to now. So please let me continue my fight against the algorithm that seems to be wanting me to stay down in the gutter. For some reason, I'm battling against the dreaded algorithm, and every like and comment, and if you are particularly mental and want to see more of me, subscribe. That helps so much in my fight. That gives me more power. So thank you, and well, thanks for listening, and until next time, adios.